'Cause living is so much fun. When
Thank you, my star sister. I appreciate it. Much love to you. Thank you. Thank you. That was a great stretch, guys. I needed that sitting here on this chair for the last 9 hours, 35 minutes, and 25 seconds.
That's
It
right.
was, it was time
It's
for,
actually
like,
not so hard anymore. Like the first few days was like really rough, and now I'm just kind of getting used to it.
yeah, same
what,
here.
Leanne, workouts?
The first day I was just hoofing, and that was
Yeah.
but this
Take
is
you two through an hour and see what happens to you. I would love to do that on the not on here, just elsewhere, because I'm not a yoga teacher, but I know how to go through a class.
Yeah, right on. There's some people. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that after the conference.
We can do our own
All right,
little
cool.
private something.
Thank you, Leanne. Let's
Sure,
bring
thank you.
our next speaker on, which I am very excited to do. I spoke with Claudia, like, what was it? Last week, a week and a half ago, we spoke, and we had just a fantastic conversation. We resonated, and they were going to do some things here. So I'm looking forward to that. Here, I'll read Claudia's bio here really quick. It's not that long. Claudia Thompson is an Emmy Award winner and internationally known lunar astrologer with over 35 years of experience. Her journey has taken her from Hollywood to the moon. Claudia's practical moon-powered living system enables others to live in tune with the rhythms of timing of the very force that moves the tides in the oceans, supporting all life on Earth. The creation of her simple and practical system guides others to create lives of vibrant health, happy relationships, success in business, and to celebrate their unique brilliance and beauty while knowing the right timing for everything. That is beautiful. Welcome, Claudia. I am so happy to see you. You're amazing, and I'm looking forward to this. And thank you very much for giving us your time here. And yeah, welcome.
Hi. I'm not hearing this feed very well, so I don't know if I need to change to my phone. Can you hear me okay?
Your audio is a little low. Let me turn it up in my end and see how that works out. Let's give it a shot now, Claudia.
Okay. I don't know. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, not well, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this. Usually my StreamYard feed is really good. So I just want to be sure that everybody can hear me okay.
Yeah, the internet connection seems to be bad everywhere. My partner, Rob, keeps getting kicked out of the studio because of his internet out east, and is kind of lagging on this side of the world too. So we'll do our best that we can with what we have.
Okay, I'm just wondering if I ought to switch to my phone and my my earbuds.
You should be okay, Claudia. We can hear you.
Okay, all righty. And I want to just see if I hold this up, is it going to be reversed?
Let's have a look. I'll make you into full
Is
screen.
that it? No. Okay, good. It's not in reverse. Good. Yeah. And I have my iPad this way. It looks columnar because when I turn it the other way, the camera's way over on the side. Weirdness. But you know, Mercury's in Pisces right now. And April is going to just be insane. So if we're all really married to technology being perfect, we're going to have to let it go.
That we do. We have to let go of technology to
Yes.
to a
Yes, it's
certain
like,
point.
how did we live before that? Maybe that's why some of us older ones are hanging around to remind the younger generation of how that there is a way to live without it.
Yeah, I remember there was a time when I was told, don't come home until the lights come on.
Yeah.
I'd go and hang out at the hockey rink all day long playing shinny hockey. And when it got dark, I came home and we had television, and I think we had like 4 channels. And, back in those days, yeah, TV only came on in the evening.
It was much more challenging to confuse and program us in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. And we had better memories back in those days too, because if somebody gave us their phone number, we'd remember it. And then now when somebody gives us a phone number, we put it in our phone and we have no idea what that phone number is.
No,
right?
and if
So
you lose your contact list,
poof is gone.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
like that.
we'd better get good with our telepathy quickly.
Yeah, for sure. I'm working on it with my
Me
cat.
too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin, with just a brief recap of my story of what that means from Hollywood to the moon. And then I'm going to go into the actual rhythms. What are the rhythms of true time, how to rock the rhythms of your life. And then, Omar, if you would let me know, at the 20-minute mark on that, because then I will go into the full moon. And we'll all make a wish together and have some fun with that. And and I'll talk a bit about the imminent change of seasons and how important that is this particular time. And then Q&A, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, whatever somebody's curious about or you would like to know.
Okay, so I'll hit you up, let's say at 6:05. That's roughly 22 minutes from now.
Okay, so that's when I'll go on?
Okay, cool. I'll hit you up at that point.
Okay. So you're saying that I'm going to start and then you'll break in, or I shouldn't appear until 6:05?
No, I'll come in at 6:05.
Got it. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Thompson, and I'm here to help you rock the rhythms of your life and navigate transformation in these wild and crazy times of the evolving human awakening on planet Earth. In my bio, I say my journey took me from Hollywood to the moon. What does that mean? Well, at the top of my game, when I'd won an Emmy, I was burned out. It's a very solar go, go, go culture that we live in. But I knew my soul was calling me. And I actually took my first astrology class with my mom when I was home from college in my early 20s. So I've been studying astrology, and I always say you're a student because the universe is ever expanding, but for over 50 years now, actually. I came to lunar astrology, and it's a term that I coined in 1998-99 when I was living in a small town in Northern California, having left the movie industry. I was living in a town that was surrounded on three sides by water, and it had been a whaling village. And now it was in Marin County, an adjunct to San Francisco, but 45 minutes away. And the tide guide for the area was produced there. There were a lot of gardeners and landscapers and fishermen who were very aware of the tidal rhythms of the moon. And so a friend of mine who owned an herbal shop, a wonderful herbalist, Eden Clearbook in Northern California, asked me to do a radio show. And I thought, well, you're going to want me to talk about beauty from the inside out, right? Which was another one of my passions. And she said, no, I want you to talk about the moon. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I began talking every couple of weeks about the moon. And then she tripped off to France as her father was making his transition. And she told me to take the show over. And so I named it Star Talk. And every week I did a show about the moon and politics and health and relationships and just everything that was going on and how it related to the moon. And I developed a practical system because I realized that everything that you see growing on this magnificent planet is growing by virtue of the relationship between the sun, the moon, and the earth. As Rudolf Steiner said, the moon is like this lens for the whole universe that then focalizes those energies onto the earth. And if some of you are not aware, astrology operates on the basis that the universe is actually in our DNA, very uniquely calibrated according to our birth time, date, and place. It's like our natal mandala. So then I formed a website, the first website on the moon. I had a friend from LA that kept calling me who was getting very involved in technology. And she said, there's nothing on the internet about the moon. She called me about every 6 months. And so finally, at about 18 months, she called me and she said, there's nothing on the internet about the moon. And instead of saying, oh, well, so what? I said, well, you'll never guess what I'm doing. I'm doing a radio show called Star Talk, and it's about the moon. So we kicked off this website, and 20 years later, I'm still very devoted to my soul's calling, which is the moon. And the moon is my doorway to the universe. So I work not only with the universe and the planets that are being discovered, the dwarf planets that are now really coming into play that have very long orbits, but also the things that the moon signifies, the lunar position signify in your chart that are not so often revealed in a Western astrology reading. For instance, your pre-birth eclipses tell you a lot about your life's purpose, about the context within which you are to teach what you agreed to teach and to learn what you came to learn. The nodal positions, which are not planets, but are positions on the ecliptic of the moon, which always connote the direction that humanity's being, the collective soul direction that we're being asked to move forward in, and the one that we're being asked to leave behind. So they're very important positions. The phase of the moon you were born in, very important. Many people don't even know where the moon was when they were born. And why is this important? Well, like I said, we're a very solar-oriented culture, and it's easy to find your sun sign because, about the 20th to the 22nd of every month, the sun changes signs. And the sun represents your conscious expression, spirit, the personality, the way you came to shine through this avatar or vehicle in this lifetime. The moon represents your soul, your subconscious or unconscious, the way you perceive nurturing and security for yourself, how you meet the public. It's the way you come home to yourself. And so it's very, very important to know that when you get into relationships, because oftentimes what you see is not what you get, so to speak. So it's something that we all need to be tuning into, especially since we are in 1,000 years of the two. The two is the feminine. The two is the moon in the tarot. It's the sign it is the number of the moon. And so as we move forward into 1,000 years of the feminine, the moon becomes a very important significator to bring back into our consciousness. I was just published in a book recently. I had a chapter out of 12 authors that you might be interested in. It's called the Reformation of the Feminine, the Science and Magic of the Goddess. And that just came out on Amazon earlier this month. So that's full of all kinds of good information about the divine feminine and the moon. It reiterates at more length as far as, how we lost this information, this ancient wisdom, and how it can come back into modern life. So the moon moves through a cycle every 28 days. Every 28 days, it comes back to the sign in which, or the area of the sky in which the new moon originated. And then about every 29 and a half days, we have a new moon. As the moon catches up to the sun, the moon has no light of its own. It needs that solar impregnation of energy to begin its incredible cycle of manifestation, because everything you see growing on this planet, unerringly, just with that inner wisdom, that inner knowingness, that unerring clock, grows by virtue of the sun, moon, and earth, as I'd said earlier. So rhythm, frequency, and vibration. This is what the universe is made of, and quantum physics is proving that. It's kind of as though science is proving spirituality, working to prove spirituality or catch up with it, so to speak. So you are 70 to 86% water. And that means that you are a micro ocean. You're a tidal being. And so these rhythms and phases that the moon goes through have a great impact on you. It's said that the subconscious occupies 95% of our operating system. The moon represents the subconscious. So when you start to tune into the moon, you tune into the most unerring calendar and clock that we know of. There are cultures that have lunar calendars, but most cultures in this modern world work on created calendars that were created in many cases for political and religious advantage. And when you start to go back to following the lunar calendar, you're literally in tune with the rhythms that your own body and psyche are moving to and are responding to. And as most of you know, life is a wave pattern. Every thought you have puts out a wave or a sound, an emotion that puts out a sound. So it's like you're creating your own symphony continually. You have to ask yourself, especially in these times, is my symphony one that uplifts myself? Because I feel that your vibration is your gift to the world. So is this uplifting my vibration or is it upsetting my vibration? This is why creating your own narrative is so important. And one of the great ways to do that, to step out of any feeling of control or anxiety, is to start to dance with the rhythms of the moon and move into true time. So I'm going to move through the moon phases at a glance, and I'm showing you this. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm on an iPad, so I don't have PowerPoint, but let me see if I can get this centered better. Okay, this is called Moon Phases at a Glance. And on this side, wait a second, on this side, I'm in reverse here. Be patient with me, please. You have the phases of the moon from new to balsamic. So from new, to full. So waxing, those are the two big words for the lunar cycle, waxing and waning. That has to do with light. Waxing means the light is growing and it provides active outward building energy to support your intentions. And waning energy is when the moon is becoming dark again after the full moon, and light equals energy. So as the light diminishes, we move ever more inward. And then on this side, you will see there's the planting. Wait a minute. The planting cycle. I'm showing you this because if you will email me at moonpoweredliving@gmail.com or message me on Facebook at Moonpowered Astrology, I will send you a copy of this. And this is a really shorthand way to start to dance to the rhythms of the moon. There is the rising, the setting, moonrise and moonset as it goes through the phases, the keyword, and the action step. So you have the phase, the moonrise, moonset, keyword, and action step. So it really narrows it down and makes it really easy to start playing with the moon. So I'm going to go over this and talk a bit about what it means as we go through the phases of the moon. Every 2.5 days, the moon changes signs. 12 signs, 2.5 days, 28 to 29.5 days. 8 phases to the moon. And I love that, don't you? Because 8 is the sign of infinity and of manifestation. So I'm actually drawing a luminoscot here, which is a figure 8 sideways. So it's a sign of infinity. So we begin with the new moon. And at the time of the new moon, there's no light. So we plant our intentions, our seed intentions, in the dark of our unconscious in faith and trust. And this is a very important time. You know, we celebrate the full moon, but the full moon is the culmination point. So the work begins at the new moon. So when you set an intention, you do it in very concise language. And you narrow it down and you get a picture of what you want to create. Facts don't create. Feelings create. So it's really important that you harness your emotional energy. And it's not what we all want to do, harness our emotional energy positively. So the new moon is the time to do that. And then throughout the cycle. And I say you will realize what you feelize. So as you set an intention, you do a brain dump. You write down, you get your intention to be concise, and health, relationship, business or finance, and home and family. Those are the 4 categories that you might want to address. I would not do more than 4 intentions at any given time because you want to be concise. You're going to put action steps underneath your intention. So you want to set a concise intention. And right now we're in the Pisces lunar cycle and we are asked to dream bigger than ever. So this is what this cycle has been about. And we've also been leaving an old dream of the world, of life and what we thought it was to be behind. So that's the new moon. And then in the crescent phase, 3.5 days later, that seed sprouts, comes above ground, metaphorically speaking, reaching for the light so that it can grow in its manifestation. And we are asked to mobilize our resources or get what we need in order to have those intentions move forward. It's also a time when the habits and patterns, and the moon rules habit. It's daily life and our habits. particularly those subconscious habits that continue to run us. And by the way, if you hold a feeling for 17 seconds, you will begin to move it into that frequency into manifestation. And so once you do feelization, it's easy to do it every day. And that's what fast tracks your intentions. So this age of information, where we're always taking in tons of information, not as important as how we are harnessing our feelings. So in the crescent phase, the habits and patterns that might delay your progress, the inertia, the struggle to move away from the inertia of the past, can also come up. And this is good because we're whittlers. It's a gift. So rather than thinking we're going to overcome these old, deeply ingrained habits in just a moment, we have an opportunity in every cycle to do this. Then in the first quarter, a week has passed. And it's that half moon, and it's the time to take action. In the planting cycle, it's the time when the stem and leaves of the plant form. And so we are asked to develop a system, a system of nourishment and sustenance that will help that plant grow so it can support a beautiful blossom of manifestation. So your actions at that time are your support system to create and nourish and sustain this system to support your intentions. And a week has passed in the waxing cycle. So you only have one more week of the waxing cycle before we end up at the full moon, when the energy shifts from light growing to light diminishing. Then we come to the gibbous phase. The gibbous phase is about 3.5 days before the full moon. And the gibbous phase is what I call the pressure cooker phase. The blood, the lymph, the water within our own bodies begins to become very dramatic, like the tides. The tides become more dramatic as we approach a full moon. And this is the time when the bud, a tightly closed bud, appears, representing the progress we've made on our intentions. And this is the phase where we want to ensure that when the full moon that reveals what we've created, what we've manifested, that it's a beautiful, fragrant blossom, that it's not anemic. So in the gibbous phase, we polish our progress. And we look at how well we've done. And we see if our energy is really aligned with where we want to go, or if we need to make some shifts and refocus or essentialize our energy to be more efficient. So we have a happy full moon report card. And then the full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are exactly opposite each other. And at that time, we have full light on what we've created. Not just since 2 weeks ago at the time of the new moon, but since 6 months ago when the moon was new in the sign that it is now peaking in. So the full moon is a checkpoint. It's about reflection, revelation, culmination, manifestation, all of these things. And so some of you may have had an experience where you really feel that energy, that pressure building in your, literally in your body, in your life, and you see people kind of going loony around you. But if you're working the phases and you're really navigating, surfing these rhythms, you'll find that you always know what time it is. You know what's going on. And so you can proceed more deliberately through your life and create your dreams by harnessing your feelings rather than being at the effect of them like a roller coaster. So after the full moon occurs, new moons are for intention setting, full moons are for wishing. And we're going to be making a wish a little later in the show here, in this segment. So the disseminating phase follows the full moon. And the disseminating phase is the fruit that follows that blossom in the planting cycle. And so in the disseminating phase, it's as though you take a bite out of that fruit. Is it bitter? Is it sweet? You really assimilate the insights that arose at the full moon. And oftentimes, of course, a full moon has to do with our relationship to everything and everyone. So oftentimes, I always think of the ladies who lunch in the disseminating phase, where we move into the disseminating phase and we might be comparing notes or just noticing a conversation. And it's like, oh, I had a similar experience. And we reflect on what's really true about what we've experienced. Then we come to the last quarter phase, that reverse half moon. And we are now at the approximately 3 week point. And so when we get to that point, we take stock. At that point, the plant, metaphorically, that we've created begins to wither and return to the ground of consciousness in which it had its being and cultivation. And so now we look back and we see, how did we do? Is my consciousness aligned with where I wanted to go? And I think of that Pointer Sisters song, Get a New Attitude, because it's an opportunity for us to shift our attitude so that we are aligned with our intentions and goals. And each cycle gives us an opportunity throughout the lunar year to build to what we want, which bursts at the summer solstice. That's the waxing part of the year. So far, since the winter solstice, we've gone through making a plan, then taking that personal plan beyond to a vision for ourselves and humanity and the new earth or the world. And then we move into the cycle of the dream, which is what we're in. And we remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So now we move from the last quarter into the balsamic phase of the moon. The balsamic phase of the moon is 3.5 days before the new moon. And so we have a couple of days, we have 3 to 4 nights of darkness between the balsamic phase and the new moon. And in the balsamic phase, as the light diminishes, we are reminded to regenerate. We are asked to compost, to glean the wisdom from the whole cycle, and to look at what we want to take forward into the next cycle and what we want to release. So it's the final release point. The whole waning part of the cycle is a release point, and the full moon pops release in the cycle. So it's a great time to, and we're going to be doing a little bit of release work in a minute around that to help you understand this more. In business, the new moon is a great time to begin something. The full moon is a great time to launch something. And what is the fertile soil in which all your intentions are planted? Gratitude. Yes, gratitude. So if you are feeling squeezed down, controlled, less than content, a great way to begin is to not only reacquaint yourself with your intentions and move in and do some feelization, which we're going to do in a minute, so you know what I'm talking about, but also to just be grateful, to just begin to count the forms in your life to be grateful for, from the trees to your food, to your body, to your experiences, to your friends, because gratitude is alchemical in that as you affirm what your havingness, so to speak, you create more abundance because you are magnetic, just as the moon is magnetic, and you are a micro ocean. So you also have tremendous magnetism for whatever vibration you're putting out there, whatever frequency you're dancing to is multiplied. So I don't know if there are any questions about that, but you can let me know in the Q&A if there are questions about the phases. That was really brief. I really moved through them quickly. But as I said, we've got the phases at a glance, and then there's a second page, which is the user's guide, which has more information than what I spoke of. So you can really start to be in tune with the real rhythms of your life. Hi, Omar.
Hi, Claudia. I really like that, the micro ocean, because that makes a lot of sense, right? Because we have the moon that's pulling on the water, the tide that we have, and it totally makes sense that it would be pulling on the water of our avatar as well. And I never really thought about that one before. So there's a level up on awareness there.
Well, you know, Masaru Emoto, who is passed now, but he did wonderful, wonderful work called The Hidden Messages in Water. And he has 3 or 4 books, I think, but he was a photographer. And he also, well, I don't know actually if he was the photographer, but he was the person who first put, as far as we know, took crystallized water that had been exposed to different emotions. He would take a glass of water and just write an emotion on it, and then isolate a crystal of water and take a picture of it. One of the most beautiful crystallizations, of course, was love. And one of the ones that wasn't so pretty, when you had hate or war or violence, oh, it was just really dark and fragmented, and the crystalline form was just all aberrated and corrupted. So just think about that. That's one drop. And we are 70 to 86% water. It's said that that we actually are supposed to be 86%, but because there's so much toxicity in the air, in our food, in the thoughts that we're being, the narrative that's being put toward us, we have to, we have to clear our own micro ocean, so to speak. And then you look at the greater ocean of humanity, and is your drop clear or is it polluted? What do you choose each day? Because you choose the narrative. That's the time that we're in, is realizing that we're the creators. We choose the narrative. So again, is it upsetting or uplifting? Are you watching the news? I hope not. I hope none of you are watching the news, because it's not news. It's old, so to speak. So, and actually this full moon, which is what I'm going to move into next, this full moon was the 7th full moon in a row, and it occurred at 12:17 a.m. this morning here on the Pacific coast. So you can adjust that for the time zone you're in as far as when that occurred. So we're still in that full moon energy. Remember, a phase lasts for 3.5 days. So take care driving. Ask yourself when you're talking with someone, is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Because you may not be able to have anything to do with about somebody else's narrative, but you can certainly handle your own, so that the vibration that you're putting into the world, because when we put words out in vibrations, they don't go anywhere. They stay in the ethers. So you're continually breathing in that field. And breathing, pranic breathing, breathing fully to live fully was never more important, because that's one way you can continually clear your field. So this full moon was the 7th in a row and the last of 7 that was aligned with the galactic center. The galactic center is a point around which the Milky Way and the galaxy system that we know, the omniverse, revolves. And we are aligned with the galactic center right now. This is huge, folks. So the galactic
I
center.
didn't know that. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I had no idea.
Well, it's really interesting, because we've got this, you and I were talking a minute before the show, how Mercury's in Pisces, which is very nonlinear. It's like we can't, we're not able to think sometimes in the way that we want to. It might seem confusing, or like we need clarity. It also transportation and things, that technology is going crazy at times. There are other influences acting, but here we are with this alignment with the galactic center saying the veil's thin, because Mercury's in Pisces. So you've got intuition, high intuition, messages coming through, but maybe the messages aren't only coming through from right here, but from galactic sources. So if you're someone who is open to that idea, this full moon is the capper. 7 is a very spiritual number. And so the galactic forces are they really want to speak with us. They really want us to understand that we are transcendent galactic beings. This is what's happening as we awaken. And that the corruption of the system isn't out there, it's inside us. So
the corruption,
it's kind of like, that's the good news and the bad news. It's like, no, fixing it out there is not the answer. And a lot of people have been doing shadow work. So kudos for that, because that's one of the big answers. So as we come to the Virgo full moon, what's kicked off is the health axis. Virgo rules physical health, and Pisces, the sun, opposite. Not only the sun, but Mercury, the sun, Jupiter, and Neptune, opposite. As the sun shines its light on the moon, making it full, we find that we are asked to pay attention to spiritual, mental, emotional health that then steps down into our physical manifestation of health. So we look back to September 6th, when the moon was new in Virgo. And if you journal, journaling is really, it's really important to chronicle your life, so that you can check back. So you start to live with more awareness of cycles, rather than this narrow tunnel vision, this go, go, go till you burn out calendar and construct that we've been programmed with. It's really about the disposable human. go till you burn out, and then you'll be replaced with somebody else. No problem.
Yeah, I did that for a long time, 17 years doing drywall, and
Wow.
it broke me down. So I'm happy I'm not doing that anymore. I stopped that 2 years ago and decided to focus just on Watchers Talk and created this intention. And I have no intention of going back to drywall ever again.
No, it's, I mean, everything we do teaches us. And I know I was listening the other day to, I think it was Sadhguru was talking about, somebody
Oh, he's
asked him,
amazing.
what's the purpose of life?
Mhm.
And he said, well, what would you do if there's no purpose? And the person who was a young person went, well, I'm in school to become an engineer. And it really upset him. And Sadhguru said, you are life. That's the purpose.
Yeah, you are the purpose.
Yeah. So this is, we're in a time of such huge unraveling of concepts.
Mm-hmm.
All of us.
It's
It's like everybody needs to remain humble because we are creating the path. I heard something the other day that I loved. It said, people are having a challenge finding the solid ground underneath themselves. They can't see their feet. And the reason they can't see their feet is because they're so pregnant with possibility.
I love
Don't
that.
you love that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to steal it.
Yeah. It's
I love it.
we don't know
I love
exactly what we're birthing, but again, what are you focusing on? What are you birthing? What are you walking every day? Because that's the difference between, we all have heard of the 2%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference is that the 2% know about focusing on the frequency of feeling as if, because whatever's manifested in your world today was created in consciousness yesterday. So it takes great courage to just walk in what you're creating, in the world that you want it to be, the change you wish to see, as we've all heard. But now we have the tools. We have a collective consciousness growing in this direction of community and equality and all of these things. It's really an incredible time to be alive. So don't go down the rabbit holes. And the moon gives you 2 distinct times at new and full to celebrate every month. So we're in a time with the North Node in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. We are being awakened to what we truly value. What is true sustenance? Is it a house, a car, a bank account, or, as the kids know more than we, as far as what we created, clean air, clean water, a roof over your head, a place where everyone can be accepted and has what they need.
Healthy, non-GMO food, garden-grown food, right? That's the ticket to our past and to our future and in our present as well, right? Because we have the memory of our ancestors eating real food and breathing real air that wasn't chemied and drinking real water that didn't have chloroform in it. Not chloroform, but what do they call that stuff? I forgot.
Well, there's so much. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much in
might
the
as
water.
well be
There's
Fluoride.
chlorine,
fluoride.
there's
That's
fluoride. There's arsenic in the water
Mhm.
where I live. And some of these things are natural, but one of the things that's going to be happening, I was reading an article the other day about biodynamic farming, and Rudolf Steiner, he was one of the proponents, one of the founders of this. And biodynamic farming actually blends the information of the planets with farming and the earth and the moon. So
Wow.
it's spiritualizing.
I love it.
Biodynamic farming spiritualizes the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to renew the land.
Mm-hmm.
So, our younger generation has a lot ahead of them. But for us, it's, for us, that the people that have been on the planet for a little while, holding that frequency for them, holding what's possible for them, because we've lived long enough to know that, first of all, I knew this time was coming my whole life, and now it's here. But we also went through ups and downs. And so we know that we do survive,
Mm-hmm.
But there was a grand earth trine, which means harmonious energy. So the moon was in earth sign Virgo. Uranus and the North Node in Taurus, the earthiest girl of the zodiac,
Mhm.
and Pluto in Capricorn. So we had this grand Earth trine reminding us with this health axis that plant medicine, alternative medicine, that the earth has all you need to remain well, to not just remain well, but be in robust vitality. So, rather than synthesized drugs, which the AMA has a place. Crisis pathology, you break a bone, an herb might help, but there's a place for it. But there's so much more to the medicine wheel. And we're really asked to look now at vibrational medicine. So again, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, what do you do every day? Because the moon and Virgo both have to do with your daily regimen. Do you have a daily regimen that addresses all of those? Do you have time for silence? Do you have time to just move inward and ask your body and your life what it needs, what it wants, to get clear? Because we are in a time of massive reformation, transformation, and building anew. And we have not even seen the ashes yet. We're all going to be called to be our phoenix selves while maintaining the view from our eagle's perch so that we don't get mired in all the rabbit holes. So at the time of this full moon was what's called a singleton. 1/3 of the sky right now has all of the planets in it. Really intense. Mars and Venus have been traveling together. This is unusual. So we have a new balance being created, especially now through April. New balance in our relationships, in our finances. Pluto is part of the grand Earth trine, so it's an intense time.
That's very cool too, with the Mars and Venus, because you have the masculine energy and the feminine energy.
Yes.
That are balancing together. Yeah, that's very beautiful. I love that, and that's what this day today is all about. So that's nice sync there.
Yeah, and they're going to come tomorrow, the 19th. Venus squares Uranus first. So that can bring awakenings and surprises, and in relationships and in finances, sudden changes. If you are not in a relationship where your individual sovereignty, where you're exercising it, or feel that it's honored, you may find that there are some relationships that are just leaving your life. After all, everything's frequency match. So there are a lot of people finding that relationships that are not aligned are moving out of their lives. But it doesn't have to be with someone's right or wrong. No, it's simply about frequency. And so you can always move forward with love. You can always send love, because that's what we're asked to do, is to love ourselves and love life.
Mm-hmm.
It's really pretty simple when you think about it, But as we come to the full moon, it's also the service axis. So these two signs ask us to be in service, in Virgo's case, to the earth, be in service to the earth, and with all the Aquarius energy, to humanity. And in Pisces, you have to be of service to yourself first, but be of service to a higher source. Have that source flow through you, as opposed to the ego telling you who and what you're supposed to be every day. There's a lot of meditation work that I do where I just drop my identity and move into the pool of the field of consciousness, which is all our greater selves, And then you can kind of realize that, yeah, we are all playing dress up. This is all showbiz. So what do we do at the time of a full moon?
This is a great big stage, and each and every single one of us is playing a character on this big stage for 80, 100 years, and then poof, we're gone. And then if we choose to come back again, join the play, go for it. We shouldn't take it serious, right? This is a vacation from the self, and we should love one another while we're down here, because really we're all on the same boat, and there's no reason for division and wars and loathing and envy and all of that, because we're not that. That's not our natural state.
No, And you can't police the world. We're not here to police the world, but we are taught that, the thing is, if you have your energy centered
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly powerful. But if you are concerned about what's happening 6,000 miles away, and you're concerned about all of these things, these external things, power is inherent. And we're in a time of self-empowerment and recognizing that we're the power source and that we are human beings, not human
Mm-hmm.
doings. So if we sit and maintain a frequency of peace and maintain harmony within ourselves, and this is really what Mars and Venus aligning are about. They're about this new balance in harmony. So there may be some darkness as well that comes up with the light. It's not about, okay, so Venus and Mars together equals peace. Well, it's the facing the shadow of ourselves that holds a lot of energy. And, and saying, okay, I'll cut the cords to that. I'll start shifting my own use of that pattern in my life and being aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about that guy down the street. And by the way, judgment closes the heart. So the heart's like a swinging door energetically. And it swings toward you first. So, we're all taught, love the world, love everybody else. Yes, that's great. But if you don't love yourself, and that's the big thing in the
Bingo.
world, people feeling they're not enough and they are not in love with themselves, with the
Mm-hmm.
true being they are.
Yeah, the bingo. I always say that here on my show, that when you go into the bathroom in the morning, you're looking at a great big mirror, right? Just look at it and don't forget to say to yourself, hey, man, I love you. Have a great day. You're the best. And then go take care of your business and off you go. And that'll change your life. And you were talking about Dr. Emoto earlier. And that's kind of where I got this idea from, was where, when I learned that, I was like, hey, I'm going to start saying that to myself so that my water, my mini ocean will begin to crystallize and turn into that beautiful ice crystal that, that he showed us, because, I was judgmental and I was a hater and, I did all of that. So I could imagine, what my water looks like. I don't want to, because I'll just manifest that. But, just as a, let me toss myself up here on camera with you. Just a figure of speech, right? And when I learned that, I began to say that to myself in the mirror every single day. And I've noticed over the course of like the last couple of months, energetically, I'm beginning to feel better. My cats seem to want to spend more time with me. My wife loves me more. My kid doesn't, yell at me as much anymore because I don't let him do stuff. It's just better. And I feel that I am aligning my center and cleaning up my water that I've done so much damage to over the years. So, loving yourself is key. In fact, I have like little emojis here on screen where I always tell people I love you, and then, some hearts and you are love, right? We just kind of consistently pass that message forward and, remind people, right? Because it's almost like people feel embarrassed to say to themselves that I love you, right? Because of the stigma and everything that society is attached to the actual word love, because it's like people are embarrassed to say that to someone or someone they don't know, right? Like, you meet somebody at a coffee shop and you're like, I love you, bro. See you later. And the look on their face is like, you don't even know me. How could you love me? Right? That's profound.
Well, that's really getting to the awareness of oneness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel that we are doing now. We are crossing a bridge to an awareness of oneness. Between now and the next few years, this is what we're doing. And so if it's really oneness, when you say, I love you, you're saying, I love you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've learned in my life, because I've always been a little bit radical in some of the things that I'll put forth to people, and they might be surprised, but then I know that I'm like Joanna Appleseed, that down the road, maybe they'll get it. Maybe they'll even pay it forward, in kindness or whatever it might be. So joy is said to be the clearest evidence of the presence of spirit. So when you look at, I've been working with the solfeggio frequencies a lot lately. And if anybody listening, if you are feeling a little down or a little fragmented or something, put on a solfeggio frequency of 528 hertz or above. Now in 2012, the earth ascended. This is major. The earth ascended. So the earth is like up here at 7 hertz and above. We're between 2 and 3. We got to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
This planet is our sustenance. These avatars are a gift of chemical existence from this planet, sustained by it with air, water, perfect balance. So we're being asked, and this is part of this full moon, we're being asked to really look at what is the ground under our feet. Do we feel it? Nature, by the way, and I thought this was so cool when I found this out. 528 hertz is love. So you want to vibrate at love and above as much as possible. And that's challenging because, like I said, collectively, we're not quite there, but you can be there and you can play that frequency and just play it and see how your cells feel. I was amazed. But nature, when you get out in nature, did you know that nature actually vibrates to 528?
Sings 528.
So nature is it's love, 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 love. And you look at what the magnificence, especially here in California, where spring's already beginning to pop up. You look at, it's like love. Oh, this flower, they're literally, the earth is loving you. So take time to love the earth. Take time to just walk in nature, your frequency. And I'm not talking about power walking. I'm talking about just being there, feeling your foot touch the earth, kiss the earth with your foot. So these are the things that you can do. And I mentioned that full moons are for wishing. Now, it's really good to get centered at this full moon in your wish, because we are going to have Venus squaring Uranus. Then next week, as it goes on, we're going to have Mars squaring Uranus, and we may see some more war talk ramped up. So, you look at what you're a crusader for. And if you're a crusader for peace, be that. Practice being that. And then we're going to have into April, Mars and Venus uniting with Saturn. And that's where you may see some stuff around authoritarianism, because we are all becoming more and more free in our souls, in our consciousness. And so the games, let those old Olympics begin. The games are going to be run on us majorly. And that's where you have to remember, oh, wait a minute. That's your book. That's an old book. I'm writing a new book. I'm dancing to the rhythms of life. I'm rocking my vision.
Yeah, preach
and
it,
if you need
sister,
help
preach
with
it.
that and the right timing for everything, there'll be a link later on where you can book a session with me, a reading. And we do a free pre-session chat so that I know exactly what you need. But at the time of a full moon, you make a wish. And start getting grounded now, because I'm telling you, in April, the noise is going to get louder. But we also have an incredible, once in 3 or 4 lifetimes, transit coming up. And some are saying that this is the ascension portal. We are going to have, in Pisces, we're going to have Jupiter and Neptune uniting, conjuncting on April 12th. And that happens every 166 years in Pisces.
Did you say
So
April
this is good
12th?
stuff. It's setting out a clarion call around the ascended being. How do we ascend? Is there a ship coming to pick us up? No, sorry. Maybe for you there is, but that's not what ascension is about. Ascension is right here. And we had an avatar named, Jesus Christ. Whether you're a Christian or not, I practice Buddhism and mental physics and other things, but I honor him as an incredible teacher of the human potential.
Absolutely.
We're coming into that time of year when the Western world celebrates that.
One would have to be closed-minded.
That master said, greater things than these will you do. So he's saying, you're a creator, and being able to ascend the physical 3D dimension is possible, and it happens within you. It's clearing away everything you're not, being aware of everything you're not. And that's where meditation daily, at least once, if not more, I meditate 3 times a day, can really, really help. So as we go into wish.
Claudia, did you say April 12th?
Yes.
Oh, that's when buddy Rob Yox's birthday is our co-host.
Oh,
There. His birthday.
That's
is
wild.
on-
I wonder what that means, huh? And once every 166 years, I'm going to be 41 on April 12th of this year. So
well,
I guess
to
4 is
be a well, you're Aries sun.
yes.
We don't know where your moon is, but we could find that out, and your rising sign. But wherever that is impacting your chart, we've all really chosen to come in at this time because, sometimes people will say to me, well, I don't have anything in Pisces. I'm like, well, sweetie, you do now, And then we do have this Aries equinox coming up, which is big stuff because
that's my birthday, March 30th.
wow.
A
So
week
How
we got
crazy
two
is
Aries
that?
sun folks
Yeah.
here.
We're both on some sort of specific day. That's kind of crazy. And we're a team on all these events. Like, this is what we do. That's wild.
Well,
See
we'll
how that
have to
lines
talk
up?
more. Because
Synchronicity is
a lot
crazy.
more. And my thing is I love putting all of this stuff into practical language so people can utilize the energies
Mhm.
rather than just throwing Pluto and Goofy and all of it at people and having them go, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. What does this mean for me? How can I navigate this? I don't want to miss this. You're talking about an ascension portal. Excuse me, wait a minute, stop. How do I tap into this? And
Yes.
I have my little piece of the puzzle. A lot of, we all have a piece, a thread in the tapestry. Nobody has it all figured out. Nobody does. This is the thing about allowing your own narrative. I feel that humanity is this gigantic diamond, 7.5 billion facets and more. And all I can do is polish my facet, get it as radiant as possible. So it's sending that vibration of light and love out. But it's not up to me to be concerned with how the guy next to me is polishing his facet.
Yeah, true that.
I hope he is, but whatever, that's not, so it's like, there's a book years ago by Terry Whitaker called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business.
I love that.
So,
so
I
true
mentioned
too.
that full moons are made for wishing. And the Virgo full moon was opposite this third of the sky where all of the planets are lined up, and Virgo moon as a singleton was out there. It was like a handle for this fan, this condensed fan. It's one of the reasons that things are so intense now, everyone, because the planets are ganged up in this one area of the sky. But now they're moving more out. And as we move through May, et cetera, it's all, we're going to feel this movement into Aries. So it can be a very optimistic time. It can be a time when, and this is undoubtedly what's going to happen, more and more the illusions are going to come up. The hypnosis is going to be exposed. And so there may be disillusionment. That's why it's so important for you to remember to choose as much as possible that which inspires rather than upsets. The mind is a lousy master. It's a great servant. So one of the things we're going to do as we do this, I'm going to do a heart drop along with this. The heart drop was something I presented in 2012 at the Global Wish Celebration. It was the opening of the global heart. That's one of the things that happened in 2012. But this is something that we can do every day. And I'll just tell you briefly, I suffered from nuclear radiation poisoning from 2011 until a year ago. I was on Kauai the day after Fukushima. And everything you're looking at here is brand new skin. My skin peeled off my body 3 times.
Oh my God.
I was swollen like you wouldn't believe. I couldn't go out. And I was told by spirit that I had to stop, that this was all about shedding frequency, raising frequency, doing generational cleansing, and using my own heart drop method that I'd been, graciously given as a blessing, that's what would heal me. And it did. Because you see me sitting here, I knew this was all in there, but oh, what a horror show. So remember, always, Virgo also reminds you, the body is a self-healing organism. As long as you as long as you address all those things every day, you may go through some challenges. It doesn't mean you won't, but The medicine, the medicine is always in the message that your body is trying to give you.
Mm-hmm.
So this full moon, you might want to wish for an all-round healthy life. But the way you begin a wish is always, I happily and thankfully. It's also the way you set an intention. I happily and thankfully intend or create. So it's I happily and thankfully wish. Now,
Oh, that's
like,
beautiful because
huh?
that's beautiful. I like that because when people pray or do something like that, they're always like, I want to give me, right? And it's just always, me, right? Give me. There's no gratitude there whatsoever, no gratitude being expressed. So what you just said, wow, I love it. I'm going to put that into practice for myself.
Well,
Yeah.
oftentimes this is the thing about prayer. Oftentimes it comes from scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, hey, I'm everything in the universe, therefore it's already here. I need to affirm it. I need to be happy and thankful because I'm the manifester. I'm manifesting it. And we're going to also, as we go through this process, I'll talk about what can go wrong because we've all experienced that.
Claudia, we have about 5-6 minutes left.
So we'll do this meditation really quickly so people know how to use the full moon. And
Okay.
then if anyone has a question, they can tell me. But anyway, so you do a brain dump and get to a wish that you want that's aligned with the energy of the full moon. You want, again, for it to be concise. I happily and thankfully wish for an all-round healthy life. Might be that. If you say that, that's not just physical, that's your wealth, that's everything, right? So that could be a good one. And then you write that on a piece of paper. You take another piece of paper and you write everything that you're releasing that could possibly get in the way. After you've done that, you burn that piece of paper that has what you're releasing on it. And you don't make a copy of it. You just burn that piece of paper because you're letting it go. As the smoke rises, it's as though it's like sticky stuff moving through every cell of your body, taking everything you're releasing with it. Then you take the wish that you've written down, you sit, and you breathe from the soles of your feet. You take a breath up, feel, see all the colors of the earth, all that sustenance, bronze, copper, the mineral kingdom, coming up through your body, filling every cell, moving up to the top of your head, and above the crown chakra is silver, gold, and white light. It moves down through your crown, and on the exhalation, you see that light blending with the earth colors, and now you are radiating like a rainbow. So as you take this breath, be sure that your belly is moving. If not, on the next breath, welcome the breath to fully enter every cell of your body. So you take the breath in, and as you exhale, you allow your consciousness, your mental energy to drop. It drops behind your facial mask. It drops through your throat. It drops through your chest and comes to rest in your heart. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 breaths to do this, because when you're in your heart, you are present in the present as the presence. You cannot be anywhere else when you are in your heart. Then you bring your wish forward and you visualize it. What does it look like to have that wish come true right now? Get a picture that's colorful, that has the forms, that has it all beautifully fleshed out. And then, as you're breathing in and out of your heart, and you feel the light that you've breathed in expanding through every cell, you step into the picture you've created. And you feel what it feels like through every cell of your body, every parsec of your avatar existence. What does it feel like to have that wish manifest right now in this present moment? Joy, relief, whatever it might be. Really, really feel your cells and your being thrive in the feeling of your wish come true right now. And then with a few more breaths, you see that light, that heart light that's moved through your whole body, move through your skin and fill your auric field. So this frequency of wish fulfilled is both within and without. And you sit like this until you feel complete. And then you open your eyes. And you take some notes. You might have gotten some messages. There might be something that you saw that you want to write down. What could possibly get in the way? Well, I call them dream stealers. Those things that you did some release work with. And if you find that this comes in the middle of the meditation, where, oh, that's not going to happen, then from your belly, whoa, give a tone like this and just shoot it right out into its native nothingness. And so what you have done is you have literally stepped into, embodied the frequency of that wish come true right now. So it's a done deal. You've actually put that manifestation in your body and out into the universe. The thing is to walk that, and this is what you do with your intentions when you set an intention. You walk in that frequency by moving into that field and feeling it in your life now. If you journal, and it's a good thing if you do not, take the piece of paper the wish is written on, put it out under the full moon. We've still got a gorgeous full moon light tonight. So put it out under the full moon, charge that page, tuck it away until the new moon. At the new moon, you're going to incorporate it. You're going to incorporate that wish into your new moon intentions and take some action on it. I can't hear you. Wait a minute.
It's me, Claudia. I'm bad
Yeah.
for that. I'll mute myself and then I'll start talking and not realize I'm muted. I was saying that was profound because when I was sitting here doing that short meditation and I was visualizing the energy going into my heart, I saw my heart in my eyes. And then when you said your aura, I saw like this bluish, greenish energy that was just like there in front of me, but it didn't look like it was very far away. Maybe it was, but it seemed like it was like about that far from me, and it was just going like that, just waving. That was beautiful. I really loved it, and I was making an intention and making a wish that I would love to see come true. So thank you. Right.
Well, you got
really
some
appreciate
Pisces
that.
energy going on there because we've got, this is the thing. We're going to see a lot of ocean activity, very possibly with all this Piscean energy, but blue and green, that's Pisces colors, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And the thing with the heart drop is the process of the breath with the earth colors and coming down from the crown chakra, and ideally breathing in a little longer than making your exhalation longer than your inhalation. You can drop into your heart several times a day, and I'll tell you something that's a real wonderful key. If you do a heart drop when you're talking to someone, you'll find that you're just really able to listen. You're not thinking about what you're going to say next because it's that heart energy, that vibration of love that's just there, and then you'll know if there's something that you are to say that's appropriate in response.
That's beautiful. When I do my meditations at nighttime, it takes me 10 seconds to breathe in, and then I hold for 10 seconds and then exhale for 10 seconds. And I repeat that process for about 15 minutes. And I tell you, usually by the time I get into my second or third breath, I lose entire contact with my body. The only thing I can feel is slightly just the back of my head when I'm laying there. But otherwise, I just have no connection whatsoever with anything. I'm just in the nothing, in the zero zone, and I love it. And then that's the state that I go into, that I visualize. I do creative visualization, just as you were saying, and I visualize that I already have what I'm visualizing. And like, say, I want a car, and I can, I visualize myself driving around in that car, taking my wife to work or taking my son to his work, and I visualize all of that. Not saying that I need a car, but just using it as an example.
Yeah.
I do that creative visualization to where, you have to make yourself believe that you already have that, because once you believe, then that will just manifest itself, because we're creator beings.
Now you receive what you believe. And of course, the real secret is the feeling. Because you can see a picture all day long. But when you feel yourself, when you smell the leather of the seats and you feel what it's like to feel the wind coming through that's when those two things are married, the picture and the feeling, and it starts to sail. And then it's it's just a matter of keeping it up and knowing it's coming. And that's the challenging part sometimes, because sometimes we cut that hose of abundance in half. because, oh, well, it's not here yet. It's never come, do
And then
these
that's
feelings.
creating a new intention when you say, oh, it's
Exactly.
never coming, and then that's what happens. It just never comes. You're a woman after my own heart, Claudia. I just love you. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, how can people find you? How can they follow you? I have your email address on here. Is moonpoweredliving@gmail.com.
Yes, and if they'll put 111 in the subject line, or they can put rock in the rhythms, whichever, but so that I know to open the email. And if you'd like the moon phases at a glance, I'd love to send you that. My page on Facebook is Moon Powered Astrology, with an
Yep,
ED
got it
on the
right
end of
here.
power, Moon Powered Astrology. And then I have a show on Spirituality Gone Wild from 10 to 11 every Monday to set your week up with the rhythms of the moon, so you can go with the flow. And by the way, the planets dance. The moon dances with every planet in our universe. So you're also harnessing the energy of the universe with the right timing for everything. So, and there's the link for a reading if you wish. There are 2 readings. I've got one right now that actually is a special. That's the Lunar Discovery Session. That's 20 to 30 minutes, and it tunes you into the moon and what the sun, the moon, the phase, what they are, what it means for your health, etc. And then the other one is your full reading. So you learn the right timing for everything. We can do some vision mapping, but that's where there's a free pre-session chat that goes with that one. That's the lunar astrology reading. So those are the 2 that are available. And I'd love to, whoever's listening, I'd just love to hear from you, period. Let me know what you thought of this and if you want to know more.
Yeah, connect with Claudia Thompson, guys. She's amazing. Just beautiful energy. I loved it. Last time we spoke, it was amazing. And now this time we spoke, it was amazing. And I'm looking forward to our next chat, Claudia. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much, Omar. Thank you, everyone.
You're very
Lots of love.
welcome.
I love you to the moon and way beyond.
I appreciate you, my star sister. Thank you. And thank you for your contribution to Humanity Unplugged. It's
My
a great
pleasure.
service in creating a new timeline in which we can have abundance and love and then vibrate with 528. And that's really what we are building here and what we're visualizing and our intention is. So thank you. I really greatly, truly appreciate it.
Happy birthday. Happy spring, everyone. Wow.
Yes.
2 more days. Spring.
That's it. And then Sunday is our, we're working towards Sunday. That's why we started on the 12th. We're gathering all the energy coming in from the 12th. And then on Sunday evening, we're going to meditate, and then we're going to allow that energy to go out into the world and heal the world and manifest love, right? Because that's really what it's all about, this entire
this is a super creative equinox, by the way, just so
Really?
you know. It's
Wow,
a super creative one. Yeah. Haumea is involved. The Libra moon. There's a lot of interesting things going on with the equinox. So choose the high side, folks. I'm not saying be an ostrich. You've got to take care of the things you need to take care of, but really, really choose to be that high vibrating lighthouse, because that's what everybody is right now. That's
Thank you, Claudia.
lots of love to you guys.
I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Bye.
All right. So next we have one of my personal favorite people on this planet, one of the founder of the Wish Alliance. For those of you who don't know what the Wish Alliance is, I'm sure we're going to talk about it in just a few moments. But Sheila Seppi is
I'm an ambassador at Wish Alliance, guys.
As am I. Perfect. We're all here, right? So Sheila is a author, speaker, multidimensional life coach, healer, regression therapist, and event coordinator. She is the founder of the International Wish Alliance at wishalliance.org, the founder of Spirit Way Wellness, and that's spiritwaywellness.com, in Eagleville, Colorado, and the founder of Conscious Awakening Series, which brings national and international speakers to the Vail Valley area. Sheila offers traditional and non-traditional spiritual and healing sessions for integrated total body wellness and cosmic integration services. She also provides spiritual teachings, workshops, classes, seminars, conducts weddings and intensive training programs, and offers both in person and long distance sessions. So, without further ado, let's bring Sheila in. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. It's amazing to see you as always, my sister.
It's wonderful to be here. You guys are really rocking it. Woohoo! It's a
We're
phenomenal conference.
yeah, I mean we're pushing on day 7. Tomorrow's day 8, so we're over that hill in the middle of that 6 and 6 kind of, but we're getting there.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, Sheila. I'm going to alleviate myself off the stage to give you your space to say what you would like to say, and we'll talk towards the end
Okay.
of your presentation.
Great. And one of the things I do want to do is be sure to leave time, because I have a meditation that I want to run us through, which really is an activation. But I'm a walk-in, and I came in 1999. And if it hadn't happened to me, I would not believe that anything like this could happen, but it did. And because it did, I had to figure out how to live in this world. I had memories that originally were not mine. I had to come to contact with different thought processes. I was working with guides and angels, that were very foreign to me to begin with. But over a series of time, I began to integrate that knowledge. And one of the first things that I had to do, which I loved hearing you guys talk about this today, was that shadow aspect. Because when I walked into this body, it was already imprinted. And so that imprinting came from, one, the ancestral genetics, and two, from just the life that had been lived by the person that previously inhabited the body. Now, I feel very, very blessed that when I did walk in, that within a very short period of time, I came in contact with my first spiritual teacher, who was a Hopi elder. And working with her really helped me to integrate and to be able to understand some of those teachings that were just kind of swirling around in my head. And so one of the first things that I had to do was really take a good, strong look at myself. And I find that when I share what my process was and what I went through, that it really helps to benefit a lot of people. And the first thing I had to do was to look at what I consider the addictive behaviors of this meat suit. Okay. And so one of the things that I had to look at was how I was responding to the outside world. And by that, I mean my attachments to the outcome, because I was so new to this planet, and I didn't come in with a manual. And so I was really trying to navigate these waters. And I had to understand that if I would let things go, that spirit would be able to flow through me, that those behaviors that were unwanted and undesired would begin to shift and to change and release and go away. The other thing, because I am a Virgo and the walk-in is a Virgo, I had double analisms. But they served me well in organizing with the Wish Alliance, which I do want to talk about in just a little bit. But being addicted to perfection and trying to make sure I got everything right and trying to raise 3 kids did not work. And so I really had to learn how to release and let that go. But more importantly, what I had to learn was that perfection was because I wanted to make sure everything was right. It had to be right. There was nobody putting any pressure on me whatsoever, but it was something internal that was really driving me. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to do things the right way. However, I figured out that when I'm so attached to the outcome and spirit doesn't have a way to flow, that I am blocking myself. And also that perfectionism was really more about my fear, and my fear of not doing something right, or my fear of not understanding something, or my fear of looking foolish. And so that perfectionism really was a way to start covering that up. But that's not what I was about. I was about uncovering everything. And so I really had to look at that behavioral pattern and start to release that. The other thing that I had to do was that need to know, well, why is it this way? And I don't understand. And, what's happening in the news? Because when I entered into this body and I moved to another state and found my first spiritual teacher, I was in politics. And so I needed to know everything that was going on. But I found that as I began to integrate more and more into my body, as I accepted myself, as I began to release those patterns of fear, as I learned not to be attached to that outcome, that need to know began to just very gently fade away. The other biggie that I really had to work with was focusing on what was not working in my life. And as I sat and I looked around my life, I really did a strong inventory of the things that were acceptable to me and the things that were not acceptable to me. Then in the things that were not acceptable to me, I had to understand what was my role in that. Was I perpetuating that situation? Was I drawing that energy to me? What was really going on? Why wasn't it working? And when I began to stop looking at what wasn't working and start focusing on what was working, dropping into gratitude for everything that I had around me, then that joy started bubbling up. And I found that for me, if I am living in my passion, everything starts to fall into place. And so once I started clearing those, I would say those were the major addictions that I found to be true for me in my life. Then I had to start looking at the way I was responding to people. And the first thing, of course, when I came in, I was so different from the other person. And not that the other person wasn't honoring and respectful, but I just had this deep, deep, just rooted sense of honor and respect for all things around me. I would, gather up the little spider and take it outside. I would gather and do little odd things. My kids were like, Mom, why don't you just step on it, or, just get rid of it? But the reality of it is I came in and I had this deep rooted respect and this honor. And so I started looking at that and said, if I have this much honor for everything else, I have to extend that to myself as well. And one of the things when I am working with people, I find they're really great about, being kind and loving and gentle to other people, but it might be to their detriment. They may not be as self-loving or self-caring or nurturing, because so many of us, depending especially on our location in the country, we're taught to really to cater to people, to help other people. And no one ever says, okay, but now you have to learn to take care of yourself. And that's one of the trends that I see that's really shifting and changing over the last couple of years, is that people are really understanding that they have to take care of themselves before they can really take care of others. And so the other thing that I talked to people about that was super, super important for me was that setting of limits and boundaries in our lives. One of the things that I would do is I would sit around and have these thoughts that would come up, and I didn't know where they were coming from. I had no idea how to really respond to them. And I just knew that they weren't mine. Now, in a way, I think I came in and I had a free pass on a lot of the emotional baggage and stuff that people find that they're carrying around. And so I felt very blessed, very lucky for that. But I also have found that if we are able to set limits and boundaries in our lives, no matter what's coming up, no matter what we're trying to clear, no matter what we're trying to bring into our lives, if we have these boundaries that we set for ourselves, and I'm talking about energetic boundaries, if we have these boundaries that we set for ourselves, we have so much more energy, for ourselves, for our families, for our jobs, for those activities that we really want to participate in. The other thing that I found that I had to do, that I work with people to discover, basically how they can best do this for themselves, is I had to accept responsibility for my actions. I had to accept responsibility for how those actions were affecting people. And then I had to be very disciplined. And I find that translates over to all areas of our lives. A lot of times we don't even set time aside to meditate. And meditating, as we've heard, is very, very important. And so many people have even talked to that fact. That Claudia even mentioned, she's meditating 3 times a day. Yay! That's awesome. And so I try to meditate in the morning and to meditate at night. And the meditation that I want to work with you guys on is one that I really want you to do at nighttime, because we all astral travel and we want to make sure that we're protected. But also, as we are working to release these patterns and to bring in more love and more light into our bodies, we have to make sure that we're protected. So after I did that, then I was feeling great about myself. It's like, okay, now I'm clearing this and I'm clearing that. And my self-esteem began to rise. And I found that I had so much more energy to do the things that I needed to do. Now, coming in as a walk-in, I didn't just come in to kind of have a vacation. When I came in, I had to agree to clear all those karmic contracts, to clear all of those behavioral patterns, everything that was holding this person back initially. I had to start clearing that. And it took me about 10 years to do that. And even today, I will still respond in an old patterned way. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even think that way. Or, gosh, I don't even know why I responded that way. But it's ingrained. I also realized that this person, just like many of you out there, have come into this lifetime to heal ancestral patterns. And as you heal, you are actually healing that ancestral line, and you are vibrationally I can't even really find the words, but basically what you're doing is you are helping to upgrade all of your children. So if you have issues or problems that you're working on, I always ask people, really take a minute and assess what's truly going on. Is that yours? Did you create that? Or is it something that's coming through a genetic lineage? And you'll know when it's a genetic lineage when you're able to say, oh, my aunt responds that way, or my uncle, or my grandfather, or whomever. And you can begin to see how those genetics are actually coming to life in you. Now, for me, I had to get these patterns cleared. And for everyone out there that's listening, maybe you are trying to clear patterns. It was important for me so that I could bring in more of my higher self aspect. I could bring in more of my collective self, because when I came into this body, I actually had come from a collective. And that was a collective of beings. And I was in my multidimensional self with all of my angelic and Elohim and all of the Christed aspects, the Palladians, all of the aspects that I had lived of myself of any lifetime. I was already in that multidimensional aspect and brought all those multidimensional aspects in as one. And so I had merged with other beings who had done the exact same thing. And we were in the Andromedan system when we heard a cry, or it was more like a vibration that came from Gaia and was asking for help. And when we came, that collective merged with another collective that was already here surrounding Gaia, working on that crystalline grid. And we were infusing that with the Christ consciousness energy. We were infusing it with compassion and love, etc. And so when I came into this body, I brought just a small portion of that in the collective energy in with me. And the more that I was able to clear these genetic patterns, the more energy I was able to bring in. And that's the same for everybody out there. The more we're able to clear our patterns, the more of this higher self energy is able to drop in. And that's very, very important, because you just heard Claudia right now. We are at a very unique position in our galaxy. We're right in the galactic center. Just think about what that means. Look at all the new energies that are being flooded on this planet. Look how those energies are affecting Gaia. Look how those energies are affecting us. More and more people are waking up to the truth of who they are. More and more people are becoming aware and remembering their dreams. More and more people are having out-of-body experiences, or they're having prophetic dreams. They're astral traveling. More and more people are embodying their multidimensional aspects. And that's what all of these things that I shared with you about my kind of addictive behaviors and all of those limits and boundaries and the way I needed to learn to communicate with people and to take responsibility for my actions. All of those things are so important, especially right now at this time on the planet, because we want to get rid of that. We want to clear ourselves of anything and all energies that no longer serve us. And so one of the other things that I wanted to mention is right now, more and more people are contacting me and they're asking, hey, am I a walk-in? Well, as I get to talking with them more and more, the things that they are experiencing lead me to believe that they, through their meditation, through all of the spiritual work that they're doing, they themselves are being able to pull in more of their own higher self energy. Now, the reason that that's important is because as we are transitioning, as the frequencies on the planet transition, we are able to transition with her. I was very excited to hear that Claudia also in 2012 state that Gaia went through her ascension, because the way I have always looked at that is, if this is Gaia and this is her etheric body, it began to pull apart. And when that energy rush came through, it really did transform us. It transformed us and moved us into the fourth dimension. Now, a lot of people didn't understand what that meant. And a lot of people still do not understand that they're operating in the fourth dimension, because they're like, well, how could we be in the fourth dimension when this, and this is happening? Well, it's because our consciousness is expanding. A lot of people are operating in fifth, sixth, and dimensions above. We do not have to be limited to this fourth dimension. Everything that takes place within our human bodies is taking place with this expansion of energy that's exuding out. Okay. And so when Gaia went through her transformation and we moved into that fourth dimension, people began to kind of separate. And I think that right now, at this time on the planet, we're seeing more and more separation in our thoughts, in our beliefs. And I think that that is because more people are awake and more people are looking around and they're saying, you know what? This isn't acceptable to me anymore. I don't understand what's happening. I can't operate the way that I used to. I can't stay in that job anymore. I can feel that that's pulling me down. It's taking my joy away. And I think right now that all of us can look around at our life, at those things that are truly bringing us joy, and drop into our gratitude. Because the more we're in that gratitude, the more opportunities we have to be grateful. And the more opportunities we have to be grateful, the more our vibrational frequency increases and we're able to come more into balance with the truth of who we truly are, which is androgynous beings that both embody male and female aspects. And that masculine, we can look around and that masculine energy is all about the action and the feminine energy is all about the nurturing. But isn't it exciting to see how everything's starting to come together? And if we can clear all of this stuff, we bring ourselves into balance. When we can look at those aspects of ourselves that we are not proud of, those things that when we think about them, it's like, ugh, you know, if we can learn to embrace those, if we can love ourselves while we're going through this process, things in our life will begin to change. And as I walked through these processes with one of my clients one day, she came in, she goes, gosh, you know, ever since we finished up this work, my husband is nicer to me. My kids are listening to me. It seems like even the dog is listening to me. And she kept going on and talking. And then she came to the realization, but you know, it could be that I'm looking at them with different eyes. And I think we're all being called to look at ourselves with different eyes, to be kind and loving and gentle and to bring in those things that we love and that we find joy with. Now, I also want to back up and talk just a little bit about that walk-in, because when I came into this body, first, I didn't even believe in past lives, and there were a lot of those activated in me. I didn't believe in certain healing methods, and they were very apparent to me. I knew all kinds of different healing modalities that I'd never studied. But the one thing that took me years to come to grips with was information about the structure of the universe, and specifically as how it applied to me and the questions that I had been asking my spirit guides. Because one of the things I didn't understand is like, well, you know, where did the soul of the other person go? Did I just jump into the body? And they assured me real quickly that no, that was not the case, that a walk-in situation is a pre-agreed upon situation that is included in most people's birth plans. Now, it can happen instantaneously, but you cannot ask that a walk-in situation occur and it just occur. It has to be something that has already been written into your birth plan. But so I felt really good about that. But then I just kept asking, okay, so now I remember this, I remember this and this and this, and they started to explain to me how multidimensionality worked as far as this soul goes. And so it was explained to me that when Source decided that it was going to experience itself, and that first resonance of sound came out, and then light and vibration and frequency and all the oscillations began to occur, and all of the etheric nature of Source began to solidify, not that you solidify, but began to come together or to be created within itself. Within that energy that we call the void, that 0 point, that pre-matter, there were templates and blueprints that were created for everything that has been created on this planet and on other planets across this universe and other universes. And each universe operates under its own set of rules or regulations, if you will. But within that creation template, there was a template for the oversoul. And the oversoul was not just like for my oversoul or your oversoul, it was a master oversoul. And this oversoul was the overseer of everything else that was going to take place. And within that master oversoul, there was the universal oversoul that has created, that oversees our universe. And then as the galaxies began to create, each of the galaxies had their own oversoul. And each of the planets within the galaxy their own oversoul. And so, like, let's get down to Earth. Each of, well, let me back this up. So with Earth, there are oversouls of learning. And these oversouls are possibly like compassion or forgiveness, etc. So there are like lessons that are included in these oversouls. And these oversouls then are kind of like the guardian for our individual oversouls. And we can actually switch experiential learning oversouls. Now, when it goes to other, when we look at other planets, they all have their own rules that they're established by. So the rules I'm talking about are specifically for Earth. And so as you begin to look at all of these various oversouls, it's easy to understand how with our oversoul, and it being so large that only a tiny portion can incarnate into us, how this soul could also be having other experiences throughout the universe, not necessarily on our planet, but throughout the universe. And when all of my soul aspects had come together, that's what created the collective that I was part of. But each and every one of us has a soul. And each and every one of us has a mission in life. Now, that mission may not be like my mission or Omar's mission or Rob's mission. It might be that you're here to hold light, that you're here to share joy. And I have a lot of people that come in and they say, well, so I want this crystalline, because I do what's called a crystalline blueprint reading, where I look at the imprinting that is around the body, and I can tell people about their missions and if they're having multidimensional experiences now, if, you know, those types of things, illnesses, etc. And so when they come in and I look at their oversoul, a lot of time, or not their oversoul, their etheric template, a lot of times I do see that they're having multiple experiences in other dimensions. And so all of us could be having those experiences right now. And sometimes when we respond away in this life, that we say, gosh, that sort of feels like a deja vu, or information starts to flood in. It could be that we are having a resonance experience with one of our multidimensional aspects. And as we even clear this body, we're helping to clear those multidimensional aspects. And as they clear, it helps to clear our body. So one of the exercises that I share with people, I'd really like to share with us. Rob, is it okay if I go
Absolutely.
ahead?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So one of the things, if everybody just wants to kind of close your eyes and drop in to the heart and begin to focus on the heart, because each one of us has that divine spark that connects us all the way back to that source energy. And as you breathe in, imagine that you're breathing that spark up, that it's a beautiful ball of white light, and allow that to get as large as an orange, and just kind of feel that right in the center of the chest. And now with your next inhalation, I want you to take that ball of light and begin to expand it. So it's still in the center of the chest, but it begins to expand and it comes all the way up. And this is right under the skin, so it's still within the body, but it comes all the way up past the neck, the head, the hair, all the way down the shafts of the hair, even in the ears, the mouth. And just feel how that light is moving and expanding. And sometimes people will feel a warming sensation, or they'll feel a throbbing in that third eye area, or sometimes it's a very cooling sensation. And then allow that ball of light that's in the center of the chest to be moved all the way down past the core of the body, the hips, into the legs, down to the toes, in between the toes. Make sure that that light is everywhere. And now focus again on the shoulder area and pull that light up, down around the shoulders, down the back, down the arms, the elbows, down past the wrist and the fingers. And now you are on the interior completely, this beautiful white source energy light. And now with your next exhalation, I want you to push that light outside the body about 3 to 6 inches. And we have now extended out into your emotional body. And I want you to think about any of the emotions that you have in your life that no longer serve you, whether it's hurts or angers. You know, if you have a feeling of resentment towards someone, whatever those emotions might be, just let this white light just burn that away, because this is source energy. And all of those emotions we are having, all of the experiences we are having are just that. They're just experiences. And now extend that light out about another 6 inches, 3 to 6 inches into the mental body. And this is where we can find our monkey mind, or those too many thinkings. A lot of times we have thoughts that just go around and around and around. We look at things from every angle. What if, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And if we have any of those thoughts that are in our minds, you can rest assured those are the very thoughts that we need to just let this light dissipate. Any of those thoughts of unworthiness need to go. Because look at this light. You are source. How could you be unworthy? It's impossible. Some people say, well, I feel like I'm separated. We're never separated. We're still connected with source. And now let that light extend all the way out to the fingertips, letting it clear and cleanse the rest of our bodies, our causal bodies, all the way out to the spiritual body. Where the residue of this source light begins to create this beautiful diamond shell all the way around our aura. Where nothing but the highest divine light can penetrate. And because this is a sparkling diamond-esque light, and it has all of the colors that are reflecting within it, whenever a negative thought form comes to you, or anything negative starts to penetrate you, it receives that which it needs in the colors of your aura. Because remember, this shell, although permeable, is hard as a diamond, because nothing but the highest divine light can penetrate that. And as those thoughts come, they go back to the person 100-fold in love and light, giving them what they need to nurture them, to help them discover the truth of who they are, to come in balance, to embrace that divine masculine and that divine feminine energy within them. And now leaving that beautiful diamond-esque shell all the way around you, I want you to take a deep breath in and breathe in all of that light, pulling it back inside your body. And just leaving that light right below your skin. And take another deep breath in and out. And with your next inhalation, you can open your eyes. And so this is a practice that I do on a regular basis. Now, the one thing that I did not share with you that I want to share now is there's what I call the protection lock. And what you're going to do is you have your hands like this, then right over left. The middle finger goes up the arm, the thumb and the index finger wrap around the other thumb, and the pinky and the ring finger wrap around to where it looks like this. And you take your hand and you place it right over your belly button. And the reason that you do that is because below the belly button, there is the dantian where you're going to build energy. And when you do this exercise regularly, you can begin to run this light, everywhere that you feel like you've got an ache or a pain, because you're building this energy constantly. You're really working with your source energy. And when you do that, and when you create that diamond shell around your aura, nothing can penetrate it. And the cool thing is, if you're working on any of these releases, if you're working on trying to release, say, the addiction to perfection or to the outcome, you're going to find that it's a lot easier because you are surrounded in the support of Source itself. The universe is supporting you, and that fills you with love and light and forgiveness and compassion and all of those things that each and every one of us need. And so I hope this exercise helps you. And I guess I'm open for questions.
Excellent, Shelley. When I was with you guys during the Portal to Ascension conference that we did, a lot of those meditations that you guys all put on were just incredible. Just like now, when I feel the presence of what you were talking about, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
It really is. And it makes it, like, after a long day like we had, it kind of brings me back to that center point. And then from that center point, now I can look outward again and kind of be focused. So I appreciate exactly, what you were doing there. And I think it's incredible.
Yeah, it really brings balance, and it's also cutting all the cords, because you guys, especially, you've got so much energy going out. I got to check the tech. I got to do this. I got to do that. You've got so much energy going out, but what are you feeding yourself? Because you don't have time. Not that it's food, but you don't have time to be sitting there and like, I'm going to be beaming you energy and those types of things. But when you do this kind of exercise, you will get to the point that you can do it so quickly that all you have to do is snap your fingers and say now. And you can feel that same feeling that you're feeling right now or that you're experiencing right now.
Awesome. I want to bring in Stone Hobbit. She is also a walk-in. And I think that she'll greatly appreciate the connection being made here. So come on in, Stone.
Hello, Stone. Hey, girl. How are you?
Oh, you're muted, Stone. You're muted. Gotta unmute. You're starting to get like us now.
I don't know how many hours we have not been sleeping. But no, that was good activation. My hair went all frizzy, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Oh no, I love the activation. I can relate to, I can relate to a lot of the things that you've
Right.
brought up today. We've talked in the past about this sort of stuff, and yeah, it is. It's about finding that balance within you, getting to that center point, acknowledging who you are and knowing what your journey is, knowing what's your rubbish and sorting that out. I
Exactly.
tell people it's tea time, transparency, exposure, and accountability. And
Love
it's
that.
now. You
Yeah.
are your own judge, and jury. You got to sort this stuff out now because we're
Right.
moving. We look at us. We're all vibrating a lot faster than we were, and doing this conference is just like, wow, this is really up the notch at the moment. So we're just going to be like massive beams of light energy going. I'm not sure where.
Right. Up and out into the ethers.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely. I
Well,
love
that's
some of the things you were saying about being a walk-in and how we, there was a time there when I saw what I called people popping, and I was literally witnessing craft coming in and these shards of light shooting up. And what I saw, basically put it down to, was it was soul popping, people popping, and they took a certain amount of I don't know, souls out of these vessels, and us walk-ins came in. I don't
Right.
think I came in at that particular time because I'd already witnessed it happening to others around me. So, and I was already aware of it. I believe that's sort of happened to me before that. So, and coming in the way that I did, there's too many symptoms to show that this is not normal. And I'm seeing a lot of people from about 1999 to and the next wave was 2010 is when I saw the next wave, and then there was another wave about 2 years ago. So it's getting shorter and shorter between
Right.
the walk-in time. So we are here as
Right.
I don't want to say leaders because I don't like that, but
Right.
you know what I mean, guides.
Way
So
short. Yeah.
yeah,
One
way
of the things, because out there's the non-interference. The ships just can't come beam in and say, hello, we're here, and the beings can't show up to a majority of the people because it would really freak them out. And
Yeah.
that's not what disclosure is about. Disclosure is about, from inside and us sharing the information. That's the disclosure. But
Yes.
what better way to get troops on the ground
Yeah.
than to bring walk-ins in?
Yeah.
And all of these new children that are being birthed. I saw a video somebody shared with me of a little girl that was not even a year old, and she was reading.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was able to read her name. She was able to read like dog and cat. And when she was saying her ABCs, I'm like, now wait a minute, when did kids start talking? I'm sitting here, and this child is already reading. And so these crystalline children that are coming in are just phenomenal because the light and the knowledge that they're bringing. I was talking, to Mary Rodwell this afternoon, and she was telling me some phenomenal stories about children who are, 3 years old, sharing information about frequencies and being able to see the grids and everything all around people. It is so cool. I mean, this planet is changing, and I'm so glad that I'm here at this time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went through the dark shadow soul's journey, and it was like, why am I here? Why am I here? I want to know why I'm here. There has to be some sanity, some purpose to this. And then before I knew it, I realized I was having contact. I was healing myself.
Yes.
I'm standing there one day, and these black-eyed babies, these black-eyed children. There was one little baby boy. There was a girl who was about, I would say, 7 or 8 years old, and then there was another one, and it was like the girl was definitely not
right.
she was hybrid. She was definitely hybrid. Okay, the way her eyes were, it came across and it went up the side, and they were
Yes.
black. There was no, and who she was with was not biological. Okay, and when they paraded the little boy in front of us, he was like a little big chubbalub. You know, he was just a ball with
Right.
really big, round, beady black eyes, and it felt like he could read right through me. It was,
Yeah.
I could hear him. You know, it wasn't a physical voice sort of thing. It was more, I know you know that
Right.
I know. You know.
Right. And so many people are talking about, that resonance that they're feeling with their multidimensional aspects. And I truly believe it because we are coming back together and those oversouls are starting to unite.
Yes.
And I mean, just think about it. Every planet has its own oversoul. Every
Yeah.
individual. I mean, can you imagine? And
Oh,
so I'm so excited for what's happening and these astrological alignments and occurrences that are taking place with the energy that's shifting, and you can just feel it in every cell of your body. And that's really why I wanted to kind of share my process with what I had to go through to do some of this cellular dumping, as I call it, to really be able to hold these new light codes that are coming in. Because when we go out, and in the morning, if we bare our chest and we're standing there to the sun, we're receiving that encoding that's coming from the great central sun to our sun, into our bodies. And it really does behoove us all to go out in the morning and to do that, because things are changing just like that. I love it.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, having this conference, I can't believe the amount of similar mindsets, people that have done, great people that have done the same works, the journeys, they're all finding these aspects of themselves, and it's like we're all reuniting, we're coming back together. And I've just been sitting here in awe this whole time through the conference. It's just like, well, we've all put out our feelers out there and we've said, where's our family? We don't want to be alone anymore. Show us what we're meant to be doing. It's been right in front of us the whole time.
I know. I love that. And, that's one of the reasons that the Wish Alliance came in to be, is so that we could have a place that we could come together. And so if people are not familiar, please visit the site wishalliance.org, because, our tagline is the time of the lone wolf is over. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And we are, we are who we have been praying for. And this website has a whole variety of individuals who are offering their services for people who are waking up, who need different healings, etc. There's a meditation place. People can, people can click on that and it'll go away. There we go. Yeah, you can see we have, about us, but then we have the Alliance members, and then we have all of our ambassadors. And these ambassadors are providing a ton of services. If there's any way you could click on, that's the homepage. This is our our awakening that we have, Conscious Awakening, every Monday. This is, if you want to scroll down, this will just show you some of the individuals that we have that are ambassadors for you. And each of these people are providing different services. Some of them are artisans. And, if you just look at their art, it is so healing for us. If you listen to the music, you can just kind of drop in to the vibration and just kind of feel it moving through the body. And honestly, it just, some of it just really is healing for me. And then we have poetry on there. And if people are interested, this form section, we just put this up today. I'm not sure if it's fully activated yet, but yeah. So if you're interested, you can become part of the movement. You just click on whatever it is you're interested. We've just now added share your story. And this is to allow people who have had this phenomenal experience to them, whatever it is. They may have captured orbs. They may have had contact with extraterrestrials. They may have had face-to-face contact. They may have been astral traveling. Whatever these experiences are, we now are going to have a place where we can begin to capture those and share those with other people so that they know that they're not alone. And then this other section, the book review, we're going to have certain books featured, and we'll just have little reviews, what people think about them. And then gotta read, this is going to be suggested literature that our members are interested in sharing with people. And then there's the new author application. So for people who have written books, I think I've got mine. Can you click on that? I'm just curious if it's working. The author application. There you go. Not yet. So with the author application, people who have published books can go in and list them. And then everybody who visits the site, let's say they're looking for information about how to astral travel. Well, someone may have written a book about that, and it'll all be listed here. So one of the main intentions that we have with the Wish Alliance is to be a resource for people and to be able to come together and to support each other. And everything on here, including our events, is free of charge. We don't charge anything. If people purchase a service from someone, then that they work that out. Let's say if Stone is going to provide a service, they actually contact Stone. The Wish Alliance doesn't receive any funding for that, from that.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. All that work and energy that you're putting in there. I highly recommend that people go there and check it out. I know that it's helped me quite a bit growing, just going to these, these groups, these gatherings, and communicating with other like minds. And it's yes, it's moved me pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, when I came in, part of my mission is to be a way shower. And I thought I had to do everything at first. And so I was learning all these modalities, and I was offering all these services, and I was working 7 days a week, literally. And I was just about to have, physical, mental fatigue. And then it's like, no, keep going bigger until I finally realized that it was going bigger outside myself. I didn't have to do that. There were all of these people, but once I listened to what Spirit had in store, everything it just fell in place. The doors opened, the people came in, the relationships were developed. And also, if people go to my website, SheilaSeppi.com, and they sign up on the mailing list, you will receive the first chapter of my book that talks all about my walk-in story and the path of what I had to go through to understand the integration, what type of integration that I went through.
Yeah. All right. We just got a message there. So I believe we're coming to the end of this segment. So, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share before Rob or Omar pop in?
I just want everyone to know that you matter and that you are important. And the very reason, or the very fact that you're here on this planet means that you're here for a reason, and you're not alone.
Absolutely. 100% to that. Yes. All right.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much, Sheila.
Thanks.
Always love hearing from you, and really understanding what the walk-in is. And then, in fact, I applied some of your knowledge that you gave me from our last talk in our walk-in panel just a few days ago.
He did.
Where you had given me the download on the braided souls.
Yay.
The braided souls. And then there was a lady talking, and it was explaining the same thing. And I was like, wait a minute, Sheila was telling me that's like a braided soul, because I remember asking her that question, then jumped in and I asked her, and she's like, yeah, you're right. So Right on. See, applying the knowledge.
Yay. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. It was awesome. And, I hope that something that I said helps somebody, or the meditation, really, I mean, the meditation itself, if people will practice that, it will make the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sheila. Really appreciate it. And thank you for your contribution to Humanity Unplugged. It's been a beautiful day, and your energy is just amazing. We started off with Brad Olson, and then he set the tempo, and from that point on, every speaker just compounded that energy and compounded and
Knocked
compounded
it out of the park.
Yeah, and it just
Everybody.
worked out so perfect that you're closing with the type of energy that we've had, and it wasn't designed that way, and it just happens to be just coming through like a really tasty cake. So I'm loving it, and I appreciate you so much, and thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Love you, Sheila.
And you,
Good to
honey. We'll
see you,
see
Sheila.
you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, guys, that was quite something. The walk-ins, I'm still trying to like wrap my head around that, right? It's such a
intense phenomena that happens.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
exactly.
It's awesome, though. At the same time, it's just there's so much that goes with it. And one question, that I do have is, who is the one that dictates when it's time to switch, or who's the one sending the individual souls to the new body? Is it all different species? Is it God? Is it angels? Is it maybe it's all the above, right?
From my understanding, it's it's a group soul, right? And then from the group, you can exchange spots with different groups, kind of like being an ambassador of this group to that group, and that group can come to this group. And then the exchange that's happening between the meat suit and the consciousness, the soul, like, I have a hard time with that word, but anyways, that the consciousness that's there, when the person down below in the meat suit just doesn't want to be in that body anymore, subconsciously they're calling out, and then that message is picked up by their soul group, and then they make an exchange. And then sometimes, from what I understand, is that there's already an agreement put in place to where this person will come in at a particular time, right? Maybe at a cusp of a moon or some astrological
I know about the contracts. It's
right, like,
who's determining that these people are in this group and they're going to be able to switch at this point. Like I know it's probably there is no exact answer out there. Hold on, let's bring Sheila back up. Hang on.
I would say it's the free
Sheila.
I would say it's the free will of the meat suit. Right, whatever is inhabiting the meat suit, it's the free will of that meat suit that dictates on the exchange, and then somebody up here volunteers to come down.
Okay.
That's how it's working, Sheila?
Okay, what my collective has shown me is that we are basically a biocomputer. We're the avatar, all right? And that we have all the genetics that feed into it, just like we all know. Okay, when a consciousness aspect comes in, initially that's called the natal soul, and sometimes they stay in the body through the duration of the life. However, sometimes before that soul actually inhabited that initially, before any consciousness aspect comes in, there's a plan. Nothing is done haphazardly. Okay. And so it could be that age, let's say this consciousness unit with its other consciousness units decided at age 3, you're going to fall down the steps. That could be an exit point if you choose it. At age 15, you're going to be in a car accident. And if you choose, you can leave at that time. And at age 30, you're going to give birth, and you could choose to leave at that time. So we have the initial soul has these exit strategies in place when they incarnate. Sometimes, however, when that negotiation of what our path is going to be in the lifetime, when that is being developed, it's like, okay, I really only need to have X, Y, and Z experience. And another aspect could say, oh, well, I need to have X, Y, and Z experience. How about you take the first half, I'll take the second half. Or you take the first 5 years and I'll take the rest. You know, that can happen. In my case, this soul was supposed to, the initial soul, according to what my collective has told me and I've seen, was supposed to go through the duration of the lifetime of this body. However, because of the illnesses and the dysfunction and the poor choices that was made, there was a crying out of this soul to be released, to get out of its contract. I can't handle it. It's too much. Let me out. Now, that was not consciously done. But because that soul to this particular body had been Arcturian, within the etheric template, there had already been an energetic template to run the systems of that Arcturian consciousness.
Got it.
So when that consciousness left, and I was part of a collective, and our collective received that vibration, the aspects of the consciousness that I bring in held a lot of the Arcturian frequency to make it easier for me to transition into the body.
Got
and
it.
as the healing occurred and as the patterns were released, more and more of that energy could come in. And so now I embody a lot of the angelic frequencies, a lot of the Palladian frequencies, you know, it just goes on and on. But we have all had so many lifetimes that what I just described is true for everybody. So you may not be a walk-in, but as you release these patterns, you're able to bring in higher frequencies.
It just happened for you mid-session, like mid-lifetime.
It happened.
That's what classifies the walk-in.
Yeah, because the job that I had, I've already been told whenever I complete this lifetime that I'm going to go back working with the collective. And so I know that that's where I'm going to be going. And my memories, it's just pure unconditional love. It is, you know, when I think about it, I can almost start crying because it just fills me in all the pores of my body. And that's the kind of energy that was being put into the grid systems of this planet, not just by me, but by countless conscious units. And I'm calling them at this point, then we're all consciousness units because we're all blended together. And so for me to incarnate, there had to be a desegregation to say, okay, we're going to send this and this and this in. And that's what happens with all of us, but from the oversoul aspect. So when I look, my guides called the oversoul the Shantias Khan. And so the Shantias Khan is kind of like your cloud storage for all your experiences. And so when an individual incarnates, they kind of go around to that cloud storage, which is in a way kind of like a grocery store too. And it's like, oh, I need a little compassion. I need a little love. I need to sow in this lifetime. I need this. I need that. And all these resources are gathered. And then that energy begins to swirl down. And I always see it as a swirl. And it's kind of like this wispy kind of beautiful energy that comes in through the top of the head. But
that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, it comes in through the top of the head. Now, when I became a walk-in, I remembered it felt like lightning ran through my body, and I sat bolt right up in bed, and then the lightning ran through. But that lightning was that new soul energy coming in, and that thrusting of the other soul going out. It was so weak that it could not pass the other energy. because a lot of times the energy, it comes in and it goes out through the head. But this one came out through the chest, and that's what propelled me upright. And so everything is a very organized and very, it's a constructed pathway that people follow. It's kind of like your roadmap, only we don't get to see the roadmap.
Right.
We just have to walk the path.
Right. I brought you back up because you just confirmed something for me, and I didn't realize when I was asking it that it was going to go into that explanation. But every time I talk to these mediums and they tell me like past life regression types, it's basically like they look back into the past life regression and they say that for 50 years I wasn't on this earth, but I was already through a lot of lifetimes, and I was helping in an angelic form, helping children cross over. And that's like you going back to the collective and doing work. Like that's you working with the collective. So that makes more sense to me now hearing that. And then you saying that kind of clicks. That's what I was doing. It was, I don't know, supposedly they told me I was in World War II. And then from there, it took me about 50 years to get back here. And I was doing something in the meantime. So
How interesting.
it's wild, right?
Very interesting. I had a reading done by this Australian lady 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And she told me that this was my first visit to the earth and that I'd never incarnated here. And I've just simply come here as an observer and to simply just to watch. And then once I leave, I'm supposed to report my findings to some council, right? She didn't say exactly what council, but she said I have to deliver a report to the council. So I'm really here as an observer, and
it makes sense the way you question things. And it's kind of funny too, because when I talk to the mediums and the psychics, they say that I'm like an original soul. I've been here for the entire span of the human history here. So it's pretty cool how like we're that team, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
But that's your inquisitive nature, Omar. You're literally here trying to engage in each experience and get the most out of it and milk it, with the lack of the word, but milk it for all of the information you can get out of it, right? And that's pretty much your personality. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it seems to be my goal this time around. And, and I don't have any biological children either, right? I've adopted my children. I don't have like any genetic ties to this world. Once I leave, that's it, right? I'm gone. I just leave memories behind, and that's really it. I don't really have an anchor. Right?
You'll be the ether. You'll be the ether itself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not being anchored down to this planet with some genetic connection, right? I'm just simply here for a good time, a short time, and
I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Get him, bud.
80 years will suffice.
Yep.
So live in your joy and passion.
That's right. That's right.
Damn straight.
Thank you very much, Sheila, for the round 2 download. Really appreciate
thanks for coming
it.
back up.
Love you very much.
We love you, Sheila.
And
Thanks.
we will talk soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we are at the end of the night, 3 minutes to 12 hours. So I think it's time to close it up. Rob, you want to bring our schedule up for tomorrow? And we'll just let folks know what's going on tomorrow morning. We're going to be starting at 8 o'clock, I believe, tomorrow morning. I'm not really quite sure who we're starting with. We're starting with Greg Bornstein tomorrow, because it was Dean Lacrosse, and then Dean just lives up the road from me, so Greg Bornstein can't make it in the afternoon, so I switched them up. So we're going to start off with hypnotherapy first thing tomorrow morning. So hit her up, Rob. Bring up the screen, brother. Gotcha.
Hang on, let me get to Tamara. That's today, you dum-dum. Let's get it. All right. So Greg Bornstein's not going to be here tomorrow?
No, Greg is here. He just couldn't make it in the afternoon. So I was speaking with him earlier, and he said, hey, I made a big mess up. I kind of fucked up on the time because of the time difference, and he can't make it. So I had a spot open with Dean in the morning, right? Dean was a late addition to the roster here. So I messaged Dean and asked him if he can switch spots with Greg Bornstein. And so that's what we're doing. I haven't heard back from
First thing
Dean.
in the morning is Greg then.
That's right, Greg, and then Dean is replaced with Greg. So just
He's at 140. So first we have opening is Greg Bornstein. Then we have the guest intro 9:10, and we open tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 9:15 we have Rachel Otto, about Dr. Joan. 10:15 we have Yasmin Yaishi with me. After that, we have a wonderful stretch from Leanne Curtis. And then at 11:30, we have Mark Fiorentino with me again. Then we have a pre-recorded message from April and Jay Amata. And then at 1:40, we'll be having Dean instead of Greg. 2:40, we have Ray Davis. 3:40, we have Constance Victoria Briggs. Then 4:40, we have my favorite person is Jerome Calvar, and he's not doing any any energy swapping with me this time. 5:40 we do have Leanne Curtis with another stretch. 5:55, which is a pretty cool number. I've been seeing it a lot lately. We have Barry Eaton, and then we have the main event. We have Phil Gruber at 7 p.m. and he has no limits. He can go the distance, and we're going to take it the distance.
Oh, dear.
And that is that.
So Phil Gruber was put in there not by accident, but by a very deliberate design.
Yes.
I've heard Phil talk a number of times at Portal to Ascensions, and he is a fabulous, fabulous speaker with just so much information that it's incredible. His energy is incredible, and when that guy starts talking, it's just best to just let him talk and just sit
it's
back.
going to blow your doors in. It's
just
going to
sit
be
back
so
and
much
listen.
information. You're going to have to see it 7 times to get
That's
all of
right.
it with a
That's why
notepad and a pen.
That's why I have a question mark next to 8:30, right? So it could go longer than 8:30. I don't know. I'm not going to stop him because, like I said, when he starts talking, you just let him go. And I think what I'm going to do at 12 hours, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to record my entire screen just in case YouTube doesn't pick it up and in case my studio here decides not to pick it up. So as a backup, I'm just going to record after 12 hours and I'm just going to catch it all and let Phil go. We might be here late tomorrow night, guys. So prepare
just in case.
Prepare yourselves. This is going to be an epic download on route races and what we are, who we are, where we come from.
Grab a pillow and a blanket and some headphones. You'll be good.
Yeah.
Just hear it out.
Amazing. Looking forward to it. So with that being said, guys, thank you to all of our speakers today. Much appreciated. We started off with Brad Olson and then Joan of Angels, Debbie Garcia, Jordi Sirota, Victoria Reynolds, Michelle Falcone, Dr. Rita Louise Ford, which I really loved, Claudia Thompson, and Sheila Seppi. Thank you very much to all of you light workers for your contribution to Humanity Unplugged. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. My name is Omar. I'm the host here at Watchers Talk, coming at you guys from West Coast, British Columbia, Canada. Once the stream is over, please just quickly go down to the comments and drop an emoji, drop a hi, drop a bye, drop something, even a letter in the comments. It helps the algorithm for all of that to go well. Thank you very much for all the donations and all the super chats today. And if you feel compelled to make a donation, please go up into the pinned comment to PayPal. Your contribution and donations are greatly appreciated as they help us continue to bring you conscious-based content. So that's it for me, Rob. Any final words for you, and then Stone, and then we'll close the night.
I just want to say that it has been an amazing ride so far, but the roller coaster is just beginning, especially with Phil tomorrow. We just hit that click at the top and started to descend down, and now we're hitting the corkscrew. So it's about to get wacky wild, and we're going to have a great time. Stick with us. I know it's a long haul, but we're doing this for a purpose. The purpose is to get us ready for the next solstice, because the next solstice might be our last solstice. So let's make sure that we do the work to make sure that we all end up on the right side of existence once it's all finished.
That's right. This is an event of purification.
That's right.
Stone?
Yep, absolutely. I'll follow on from that. It's basically an upgrade for all of us right now. Keep on shining. You're on the right path. You don't actually have to do too much. Just be there. Just hear that frequency, feel that information, and let it flow. Relax into it. Eat good food. Get some oxygen and some sunshine if you can, and just be calm, relax, and enjoy that glow that's happening to all of us. So thank you again for coming along and sharing all your information. It's absolutely the best time. So
Thank you. Thank you. Is Leanne still awake? I'm not seeing any movement on her phone.
She
Just in
left a
case she wants
message
to-
riding the frequency.
yeah, and just in case she wants to come on, say any final words. Leanne, are you hearing? She might be going to bed.
Nah, she's done. It's okay.
Or
We'll
she
get her
might
the
be
first.
looking after mom too, right? It
That's
could be
true.
just that. Anyways, Leanne says she loves you all and that you guys are all the best and you're all starlights. She's proud of you and she will see you guys tomorrow morning. I just got a
That's right.
telepathic message from.
I saw it. You twitched once and you were up. There she is. You got to
Yeah.
unmute. You got to unmute. You
You gotta
can't
unmute.
keep doing that. You got to unmute.
Listen, I'm getting like all of you guys. Stop it.
Any final words, Leanne, before
Oh
we
my
close
gosh,
out the evening?
like there's so many, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not presenting. So I'll just hush up and say thank you so much for all of the enlightenment and all of the beautiful offerings that we've been getting all day. And Sheila, I don't know if you're still around. I love your little dog. I'm so glad that it shows up, or she shows up. And I'm just
Leanne,
excited
stand
to
up.
start it tomorrow.
There you go.
Here, hold on, I shut out the lights.
There you go.
Even better. Hi.
There you go. Right on.
Back in position.
Love you, hon. And thank you, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow morning. And we're going to end the broadcast coming at you guys from New Zealand, New York, and West Coast.